A few years ago, they were learning how to fight a common enemy. This video footage shows Russian and Ukrainian military personnel at joint exercises 2 years before the war started in the east of Ukraine. A couple of years passed, and Russian troops occupied the Crimea and then Donbas. Illegal armed formations from Russia presented themselves as residents of Donbas. Hiding behind the backs of civilians, they occupied a part of Ukrainian territory. They were supported by intelligence officers and locals brainwashed by Russian propaganda. Cities, towns, and villages were occupied by militants. Columns with Russian military personnel, equipment, weapons, and ammunition entered through sections of the border not controlled by Ukraine. Active hostilities were underway in the east of the country. The Ukrainian army lived by Soviet standards and was not ready for a military invasion. Owing to the growing aggression of Russia, Ukraine's armed forces needed urgent reforms. Along with rearmament and new provisions, Ukraine improved the training of its troops. Instructor missions from NATO countries arrived in Ukraine. Canadian, British, and American instructors now train Ukrainians constantly. At the same time, they also gain a lot of knowledge from Ukrainian servicemen. The military drills are held several times a year, both in Ukraine and in European Union countries. And at the beginning of April, the crew of a Canadian frigate held joint exercises with Ukrainian sailors and pilots in the Black Sea. The Ukrainian military is changing its command system and is switching to NATO standards for planning military operations and commanding troops. We intend to raise the level of readiness at all headquarters. Taking into account the procedures of NATO countries, our priority is preparation and coordination of operational and strategic headquarters using simulation systems and the experience of real military operations. Since the war with Russia began, schools for tank operators, anti-tank gunners, snipers, and operators of unmanned aerial vehicles were established in Ukraine. Army professionals are trained based on real combat experience using the latest developments. Ukrainian servicemen are constantly preparing for the most varied possible attacks from Russian hybrid forces, not only in the rear, but also near the front line. Infantry, artillery, and aircraft divisions are always at combat readiness. Their exercises in the area of the Joint Forces operation continue. Today, Ukraine is the only country in Europe at war, restraining the Russian aggressor for the past 5 years. According to the Ukrainian General Staff, the threat of invasion from Russia from the north, east, and from the annexed Crimea is greater than ever. The new Ukrainian army is prepared for any turn of events in the war. Reported by Ihor Medalyan, UATV.